So I wanted to talk to you about something today that has been on my mind all day, and I don't have much more sunlight, as you could see, all around me. It's getting to be nighttime, so I just wanted to talk about what happens when you finish a project. The thing is, with a play, you know, I spend a lot of solitary time as well, but then I get to be in a theater and I get to see people every night, you know, and I get to share it, which is amazing, you know. But in this case, you just finish and then it's done, you know. So maybe I'll get into some festivals and things like that, but you know, like, sorry about that. I ran out of space on the memory card. I don't even, you know what, if you're seeing this, I'm not even sure I'm going to post this. So if you see it, obviously I posted it, but I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm just saying, you know, it's difficult when you finish something that you've been working on for a long time, and it's like coming out of a relationship, like a deep, intimate relationship. So thanks for listening. I'm going to stop this before I run out of memory on my card again. And I appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next one. Probably something much more, you know, enjoyable or meaningful than this video right here. All right, peace. So, as you can see, I tried to do this vlog outside today and I couldn't get it done because first I ran out of SD card space and then I ran out of light, and I think it was meant to be, because what I really want to talk about today is grief. But grief, I think that could be looked at as good grief. You know, that meaningful kind of truth in the pit of your soul kind of grief when something is finished. And so here's what I'm thinking about today. Excuse me. Today was a day where I was thinking a lot about endings. You know, like, I just finished this film and I was thinking about how hard it was for me to deal with, how hard it's been for me to deal with the end of this project, and how I'm feeling kind of paralyzed in a way. And I've been here before. You know, when I finished a play once that I'd worked on for 6 years, I didn't know what to do with myself after that show ended. I had done nothing else for 6 years. And now I finished this film, and it just became such a huge project. And I also moved during that time, and I left the block where my mother grew up. You know, like, I had come full circle and I came back to this place in the Bronx where, you know, I started my permanent life, you know, like where I was adopted. And I was leaving New York City, which was a big deal for me. And also I realized, you know, today when I'm thinking so much about grief, I realized that today is November 22nd. And so today was the birthday of my best friend, who passed away after a little bit after 9/11. He was 42 years old. Gene Giles. I mean, the best friend I ever had. The person who told me I was an artist. You know, I mean, we grew up together playing football together and playing basketball, and but we had this love of music that we shared, and we used to sit around and just listen to records all the time, and like, we both had a really deep passion for it. But he didn't play any instruments or anything like that, and he used to say to me, "You're an artist. Fuck all this sports shit, man. like, play the guitar, you know, be a jazz artist. You know, you're an artist. And years later, when I put a record out, he helped me to promote it when he was living in Minneapolis. And so anyway, Crohn's disease took him down. But, you know, whenever I think about him, I feel a lot of grief. But I also feel this joy because, you know, he was such an incredible human being, you know, such a great guy. He had this huge laugh. Anybody who knew him knew this gigantic laugh of his, and he was just a joyful spirit, you know. He had beautiful kids, and he had moved to Minneapolis, and he had a whole new life there, and his life was cut short at 42 years old. And but when I think about him, I think about the legacy that he left behind, which is, you know, I'm sure that when people think about him, they think of this joyful, gregarious, really generous spirited, nice human being, great athlete, empathetic soul. He had a real soul. And so when I think of his ending, it makes me think of beautiful things, you know, and what he did, and the life that he lived. And I think about his beautiful family. You know, I was lucky enough to be close friends with his brother too, who also passed away very young. There's a lot of tragedy in that family, but so much just magnificence at the same time. It's just crazy. And so I think about this film that I just finished, you know, and it's like it started as this tiny little thing that I was just going to shoot on my cell phone, and I didn't know what I was doing and all this stuff, and it became a gigantic project, and it became a beautiful collaboration with other amazing artists. And we created this really just magnificent, I'm going to use the word again, this magnificent work of art. You know, we took this story, it's a true story about, you know, what happened in my life after I found all this information about my biological mother. And we made a movie. You know, we created a beautiful melding of music and cinematic storytelling and text and dialogue, and it's kind of a love letter to my neighborhood in the Bronx as well, which I'm really grateful for, that I was able to leave behind this documentation of this neighborhood where my mother grew up, where my grandmother came to this country, you know, where I became permanently a part of somebody's family for the first time. So yeah, I have a lot of grief for the end of the project. It's really hard to just stop doing something that has been all-encompassing of your life for almost 2 years, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then all of a sudden it's just over, you know, and I never really had any grand expectations for it or anything like that. I mean, you know, all the business, that's for later, you know. Where can I take it? What can I do? What can happen? You know, who's going to see it? You know, what kind of attention are these amazing musicians going to get, these singer-songwriters who worked with me on the film? You know, what kind of acknowledgement am I going to get for this story, for this solo filmmaking project that I don't know if anybody's ever done anything like this before? Shoot the whole thing by yourself? That's all for later. But for now, we finished. You know, we did it, you know. And finishing is a very difficult thing. You know, anybody could come up with a great idea. Anybody can plan for the journey to bring that idea to some kind of manifestation of some form of art. But not many people finish. And we finished, you know. And that's one thing I pride myself on. I always finish. And so I'm dealing with the grief of an ending, and the, I'm not going to say the fear, but the overwhelming notion that I have to start all over again. I have 2 other projects that I'm about to embark upon, and they're going to be huge projects, you know. One of them is a gigantic project, and one of them is a very important project. And so I'm still dealing with it's like, it feels like loss, you know. It feels like every time you finish, I'm speaking for myself, every time I finish a play, or like when I finish my albums, you know, or finish this film, it really feels like a death. You know, and I know that might sound like overly dramatic or whatever, but that's what it feels like to me, you know. And I actually think about that, you know, like that's how my brain works. Like I think about death at the end of these projects, like something is dying, you know, and it's dying with a rebirth of something new, you know, which is the next phase of that project. It's like something dies and then something's born, and then the next phase of that begins where you share it with the world. You share it with as many people as you possibly can. And so there's a lot of grief with the end of the process, and then there's this kind of wide-eyed anticipation of what's going to happen next. And all the work that goes with that, because there's a lot of work that goes with that, because now you have to honor all this work that you just put in. You have to honor this idea and this workshopping and this trial and error and this application and all of this life that you go through, you know, using all the tools that you accumulate over time, where you learn how to do things. You know, you learn, like whether you're an artist or anything else, you're accumulating skills in your life every day. And, you know, with every project that you do, you're applying them to the next project. But then you finish, and then you have it. You know, I understand why people have a fear of finishing, because it's a fear of failure, but I don't look at anything as failure. You know, it's all in the process, it's all in the journey, it's all in the doing. That's how I look at it. So I grieve the end of this film, but I eagerly anticipate what's next. And I grieve the loss of my friend Gene Giles every day. I think about him a lot. And it's pretty funny that I was thinking about this today, and today was the day that he was born. And it's funny because my number was 22, and I actually have a letter from him that he wrote to me when I was in college, and he's like, "What's up, 22? Show him what New York is about," because I was in school in Colorado. And he was born in 11/22. So that's what I'm thinking about today. You know, grief can be a beautiful thing. It could be an energizing thing. It could be an important part of our growth. You know, if you allow that to happen. You know, when my mother died, I thought about this amazing life that she lived, this amazing human being that she was, that, you know, I wasn't elevated enough to really understand until the very end of her life. You know, I took a lot of my time with her for granted. The same thing with my father, you know. My father left an incredible legacy in many, many ways, you know. But I also saw all of their fragility and all of their, you know, the parts that were not so good. And I accept those and I love those, because I know that a lot of things that they were, I refused to be. And it made me who I am. But I love them to death, just like I love Gene. And I miss him. And so today is for him. Today, he's helping me to let go of this project, to feel this grief, and to let it permeate my entire body and my entire soul, my mind, body, and my spirit. I accept it. I'm loving it, and I'm going to take all this energy and move forward and do better the next time. You know, as great as I think this film is, and I'm very, very proud of it, I really, really feel excited about what I can do next. But I'm also, in a way, right now, I guess I'm kind of overwhelmed with what it's going to take to use all these newfound skills that I've just acquired. Because I know with new life comes new needed energy. And you have to continue to build your energy and take care of yourself to be able to respect and honor everything that you're accumulating every day. That's how I live my life. And, you know, you do that until you die. To me, that's a life well lived. You know, and so anyway, that's what I'm thinking about today. And yeah, I'm a pretty intense dude. But I thank you so much for watching these videos, and I think it was pretty interesting that I started to do this outside, and the universe wouldn't let me get it done because I wasn't there yet. You know, like I wasn't mentally in the space where I really understood what today was about, which was about grief. And I had to come and I looked at the date and I was like, oh shit, today was Gene's birthday. So I honor him today and every day, but today I thank him for the reminder of how it all works. And that's it. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're well, and I hope everybody you love is well. And I look forward to continuing these as I move along in my process. So thank you for honoring me with watching, and peace.